right, guys, it's Erica Neal, your wealth strategist and infinite banker with Infinity Investment Strategies. We are here with one of my favorite clients. I feel like I say that about every client, but Dax, oh my gosh, such an awesome client, such an awesome friend, such an awesome person, just all of the things he is awesome at. We have Dax here today, and he is our commercial construction expert. And so I'm so thrilled to have you on here. I've had plenty of nightmare stories. I know you know a few of my personal ones, as well as other issues that people in multifamily and commercial have had with construction. So the amount of value that I'm excited to get from you, I mean, I'm through the roof right now if you guys can't tell. So, Dax, thank you so much for coming on. We are glad to have you here. Welcome.
So excited to be here. I appreciate you having me on and let me talk about the woes of the world of multifamily too. So,
Ooh, yeah. Hey, we're all feeling it, right? Like I know we're in like the holiday spirits and all of that right now. So whenever, viewers, whenever you're watching or listening to this, we are in the holiday times, but even in this good time of, joy and all of the good things, it's really tough out there in the commercial real estate space. So, anyway, we'll get into that here in a minute. Before we get into the now, let's back up. It's hard for me to imagine people that don't know you, but I'm sure there's a few of them out there that don't.
there
So, let's
is.
talk about your background and where, anything interesting, like where did you go to school? Where did you come from? And what drove you to get into the field and the work and the study that you have currently?
Well, it's a wild roller coaster, but jump on. Let's talk about it. So,
Buckle up, folks.
born and raised in the DFW area in Grand Prairie, Texas. Went to K through 12 right there, and graduated. Met my wife in high school. After that, went to junior college and then went to UTA. What I went to college for, you may or may not know this. I went to school for theater. I
Oh
was
my
a theater
gosh,
major.
I did not know
Um,
this.
yep, I did. Theater was a big passion of mine and something really where I got involved in the construction world because I was on the technical side. And so I did lighting and sound and built sets. That turned into a career for me kind of while I was in college and then after college. So I started doing performing or big concerts, and I did Dallas Opera, Dallas Summer Musicals, and I was a lighting designer in this area where I did a lot of corporate events. So if you remember Bank One, they were a big client of mine. I did some stuff for them. And so back in the day, that was eons ago. But anyway, so I did that. And funny story kind of led me out of that was I wanted a raise and went to my boss at the time and said, "Hey, I had one kid and I needed like a quarter or 50 cent raise. I don't remember exactly what it was." And he said, "What do you think you've done to deserve a quarter raise?" Very sarcastically. And at that point, I went, I never want a man or woman, but a person to tell me what my value is.
Wow.
And so after having that really uh, toyed with my mental for a while, I said, I think I want to go into sales. And so I went into sales and I did home theater seating sales specifically. And went in, started in like February of that year, and I helped build their website. I didn't do the work. I was just learning the product and putting it all together visually and with the designers and the web designers. And then I started doing sales in June of that year. Well, June, my first month ever doing sales, I sold more in my territory than the company had ever sold in 1 month.
What?
And so I had a vast knowledge of it, but I also brought some innovative ways to do it. And so it was theater sales. I got to let you know, we were selling to the who's who of the music industry. I mean, I did Cher's house, Martin Lawrence's house,
Holy crap. Like the
J-Lo's
big wigs.
house. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, it was those people.
That makes sense. Go big or go
But
home. That's just your
I didn't
personality,
sell
right?
to them directly. I sold through a distributor network. And in the distributor network that was set up there, their problem was they couldn't get the pricing out fast enough to close the deals because these people were very reactionary in their sales. And so if they were in there, they wanted to make a decision and they wanted to go. And so I created a software uh, package that they could quote their own stuff while they were there, pick out the leather, pick out all that, and then they could hand them a quote right then and there. And
Nice.
so what I did at that point was streamlined our processes and got rid of some of our reps that were what we call schlepping chairs around and trying to sell them to these people. I just said, look, I can do this better than y'all can. And I eliminated them. And so it made us more profitable as a company. And so streamlining processes. And that's going to, as I tell this long story, sorry, it's going to make more sense later. So I did that. And then 9/11 happened. And when 9/11 happened, that whole industry kind of was shaken up because people
Mm.
didn't know what was going on, didn't want to spend money for a while. And so the company went and merged with another company to do home theater interiors. So we were doing interiors and seating. And there really wasn't a place for me anymore because they were a larger corporation. And what I did was kind of set up this thing for the seats. So they did away with me. And so I'm like, all right, so what's next? So I started my own home theater company and just started doing sales for people that had media rooms in their houses and created a package for that. And I literally could come in and install a theater in one of these rooms in a day. And so where I became known for that is the wife would call me and say, "Hey, I want to gift my husband, a theater for our media room." And so I would come in, install it, and they would say, "Hey, honey, don't go in the theater. I'm storing presents in there, and some of your presents
Yeah.
are in there, so stay out of it." Christmas morning, they would bring them in there, and the theater would be done. So, anyways, just a simple
That's a
system I
super cool
did.
model, though. I mean, that's impressive.
Yeah, it was fun, and so had a lot of fun. Did that for a while, and then a buddy of mine needed some help and some software selling for dental offices, and so then I became software salesman, and then helped design and build dental offices. Again, this is more construction coming in, right? So, and I did that for a while, and then. As that ended, I had an opportunity to work with a roofing company here in the DFW area. And they said, we need some help with sales and growth and getting out there. And so I think I was number 14 salesman for the roofing company. And we grew it to 62 salesmen in a matter of 2 years. And it was creating systems and processes and doing that. Left that company and started a construction company, which really brought me into multifamily eventually through that full time Heritage Construction. Some of you may know me from that. And so, where we became strong, where we built systems and processes, and where we became known is we could do large scale projects and we could do them fast. And so, we did, on interior finishes, we were turning 30 units a month per property we worked on.
Yeah.
Um,
Golly.
and and so creating those systems and creating the speed created more profit for the property because the more units you have down, as you know, Erica, um, more units you have down, you can't collect rent on them. But if you have
Yep.
them up and active, as long as you can absorb, the absorption rates there, you can get rent from them. So that was kind of our secret sauce. Never
Learning
have I
curve.
ever said I'm the cheapest in the industry, but I've always told them that processes make you money. It's not the dollar of what it costs to do it. And so that became kind of our deal and what we did. And when the market kind of did what it did over the last couple of years, interest rates shot up, insurance rates shot up. There was no more capex money really for people to spend. And so trying to get creative through that time was really tough because your lenders, as you know, stopped funding the projects when
Yep.
they're, capex money is all tied up with the lender. The lender's like, hey, if you're late on a payment or we're fearful it's not operating the way we want to. So that they got really tight on
Yep.
their cash that they distributed. Rightfully so. I mean, you can't blame them for what they did. They run a business too, and they got to be profitable. But how do you work around it? And that has become the big unknown for the construction industry over the last few years in the multifamily. space. So
Yeah.
in
Probably
this
the number one
time,
issue people are
uh,
facing.
oh my gosh, it's just been horrible. So during this time, my business partner came to me and just said, "Hey, I want to offer to buy you out of the company." And we looked at it and came to an agreement. And really, Heritage is still going strong today. It's everything's great there. Um, but heritage, with me, and this comes into my personal, right? My identity was so wrapped up in heritage and who I was with heritage. I didn't know who Dax was outside of heritage, right?
Yeah.
And so, sort of stepping away lightly earlier this year, and then officially mid this year, rediscovering who I was and what knowledge I have and how I can help in this industry, right? So I have tons of friends in this industry, and there a lot of them are going through so many hard times. I just found myself on these phone calls of, I'm in trouble. What do I do? And I'm like, well, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? This is what I'm seeing work over here. This is what I've seen work over here. And so I created kind of a consulting business from it and helping these people kind of get out of some binds, but also streamlining some processes where they didn't see their inefficiencies
Yeah.
to help them see their inefficiencies. And it's not always bad, right? It's not always, oh, the management's doing a horrible job or my maintenance guy is really not doing it. It's you may be the problem, and you have to be willing to look at yourself and go, I'm the problem here, and here's why all of these other problems are here.
Yeah.
And pointing some of those things out to some of my friends has been fun, I guess. Going, hey, buddy,
Oh, hey,
the
bro, by
problem
the
is
way,
you.
what's that Taylor Swift song? Hi, it's me. I'm the
Oh yeah,
problem.
yeah, that's
I'm sure
it.
I just butchered that. My daughter would be so mad at me,
Uh,
but
no. So it's, that's been kind of fun for me. And in doing so, I've had numerous opportunities come to me by other friends like, hey, kind of, what are you doing now? And I'm like, hey, this is what I'm doing. And they're like, well, I need some help over here, or I need some help here, or how do you do this? And so one of the things that came across my desk, was a guy I've known for years. He was a past client. And he goes, hey, I have an opportunity with some retirement homes, but I don't really know how to do it and do this. And so, man, I can really help you with the water conservation side. And so, sure enough, we did a deal, and uh, since September, I think we've done almost 6,000 toilets in retirement homes on the West
wow.
Coast. We're probably due 75,000 next year and another 75,000 plus the following year.
Holy
So,
cow. And is
and it
that
was
all retirement homes or is
it's
that
only
just
retirement homes. Yeah, it's only
what?
retirement homes, but it's creating efficiencies and putting a plan together. It's not all about the product. It's not all about the installer. It's not all about, it's just the process of getting it there and creating ease and less headache. And there's always going to be, a little hiccup here, a little hiccup there, but putting the process in place to streamline it so that you can do a lot more than you thought you could do, right? And so
In a shorter timeline.
yeah, and a lot shorter time frame. So that's been kind of fun, right? So I've just been helping them out. And, they were really blown away. But you would think that, in a world we're from, I'm just going to say it, people, when they can save money doing something, they think, oh, well, I'm going to make more money. These guys didn't. They just went and they gave the savings to the customer and said, look, we found a better way to do this. We're going to save you more money. And what that's done for them is opened up a floodgate of additional opportunities within
Yeah.
that same corporation. And so now they're going to be doing a lot more stuff that I have nothing to do with other than, hey, I'm your cheerleader here, right? Go
Yeah.
for it. So,
Well, it's like that
um,
that book, The Go-Giver, right? Like when
yeah,
you are out there and you're receiving something and you're giving that out there, you're putting yourself one in the position to be seen in that positive light with other people. And when you're communicating those savings and saying, hey, instead of us keeping this, we're going to give it back to you. I mean, you're going to reach so many more people. You're going to have more quality. You're going to have more referrals, right? Just it's that go-giver mentality of, how can we continue to help other people and the money will flow back to you.
Yeah.
Hopefully. I mean, that's the idea at
Yeah.
some point.
That is the idea. That's been a big part of what I've been doing, consulting, as I said, and just I'm walking a lot of properties just to stay fresh and see what's out there and see what's coming through. So that's been a big part of what I've done. Had a lot of meetings with other people, other vendors, different things of, hey, let me connect you with somebody that I know needs your help over here, and
Yeah.
let me see who I can get, over to you because as I know, everybody's been hurting in this business for so long.
Hmm.
And when you see somebody actually doing something, you're like, hey, somebody over here needs your help, blah,
Yeah.
blah. So, anyway, just connecting people. And that's
Well, and
been
like having your,
fun.
yeah, having your background, right? I didn't
Yeah.
realize I knew you had done construction for a long time, but I didn't realize the depth and the diversity that your construction roots really went to. So having that and then having the relationships and the knowledge specifically in this space. So you're bringing your knowledge and you're bringing your connections and uh relationships in commercial real estate. You're bringing that to help others in this space through your consulting.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Oh my gosh, that's so powerful.
I'm as uh, hard as it is to say, today, I'm having the time of my life. I really am.
Yeah.
Uh, it's I enjoy sales, but I don't enjoy sales near as much as I thought I did.
Yeah.
I enjoy connecting people and helping people, more so than fighting for the next sale. Um, and so I don't know. That's been kind of fun for me. So in this whole thing, I had an old client call me and total God thing, right? He just, right after I was making the decision that I've got to separate from Heritage, that all that was going to happen. And, that was been my identity for so long. He sent a simple text. Hey man, thinking about you. How are you doing today? And I said, can you talk? And he had no clue and nobody did. And I just said, yeah, so here's what's going on with me. And, I'm struggling here because it's my identity, it's who I am. And so he goes, let's have a lunch. And so lunch turned into, hey man, I want to introduce you to what I'm doing, and then introducing me to the CEO. So I'm working now with a company called Bloom Capital, and Bloom Capital is a syndication group, if you will, but we're fully vertically integrated, backed by private with family offices. And so, not your traditional syndication group where we're, doing some retail investors and stuff.
Yeah.
Although we'll have a few of those because we know so many in the space, but most of it's going to be family office backed, um, money that comes in. And so, our first property that we're purchasing actually closes. I think it's closing today.
Oh
So
yeah, awesome.
it is a partially built property in Princeton, Texas. They're about 40% complete with the construction of it. We're going to take it from here. It's 306 units, and we will complete it in 12 months. So it'll be fully open in 12 months. Again,
Nice.
processes and putting things together has helped, create the speed to do that. And so, been working with the city, been working with the current owner and the ex general contractor, trying to put the pieces together with the lender, the old lender, trying to make sure it all happened because he was in a pretty bad spot. And so we want to be fair to everybody. And it's a great deal. So that'll be the first property. And then we have three more coming on board right behind it, that are existing properties, that will need construction as well. So I've in this group, I've taken the title of president of construction, but I'm an owner, one of the owners of the whole deal, Bloom Capital.
Yeah.
So I'm learning some new things that I've never learned before, right? So
Oh,
never been a
new chapter.
property owner, and learning some of the fun struggles with that, but also bringing a lot of my ideas to the table of what I saw from my side of the table of how things can be run more efficiently.
Yeah.
And so we'll be property managing everything ourselves, and we have some really high profile property management companies that we're getting our talent from. So it'll be our own as well. So it's a crazy group of people. I mean, we have an ex C level of Sam's Club that's part of our group. We
Hey,
have some family offices that have more opportunity to invest in the multifamily than I've ever seen before. So I mean, we've got some great relationships. We have uh, fund managers that are a part of our team as well. So it's a crazy fun time, but we are truly launching with this property and the three behind it. So I think it is. Don't hold me to it, but I think it's February. We'll have the other three closed, and so we should have four properties by then. And our
man, boom, boom,
goal,
boom. Are they all in
our,
Texas?
right now, yep.
Okay.
So we'll be growing to other markets as well, Arizona area and Atlanta or Georgia area. And then we'll kind of grow from there. And their goal is to have 100,000 doors in 10 years.
Nice.
So, yeah, that's our goal.
That's totally doable.
Yeah.
Well,
So
especially
now we
like
just got to
you've done a really
perform.
good job with the systems processes, like streamlining that. I mean, like you said, you can get these things burned and turned,
Yeah.
occupied, leased up at, whatever the new rental rate is, and funnel that money right into the next property. So that's exciting, man.
Yeah. No, it's super exciting. So things have been good. But the crazy thing is I've been so head down. I've never looked up outside of my box. Right. And so, um, you know, my hardest decision has turned out to be my best decision, and super thankful. Right.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's always hard to
with
walk away from, like you said, something that you feel like embodied like your whole identity, like who you are. Um, but I've also read that, and I think you and I talked about this because we had a great conversation on the phone a couple months ago. Um, it's one of those things where sometimes things have to be removed from you, right? Like you said, it was a total God thing. Sometimes he has to remove something from your life to prove to you that's not who you are, right? And so I'm like, oh, that's exciting that you're like, you get to experience that and you're like, oh, this sucks in the moment, but you look back and you're like, holy cow, what a relief, what a just change in dynamic. And now like you get to be Dax. You don't have to
yeah,
be heritage or anything else. You can be who you are and add your value because you have so much to bring. And you're already
right.
helping people through the consulting and now Blue Capital. So are you still continuing to do consulting for commercial
For
people even
others.
alongside? Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, I am. I'm one day, it may become too much to handle to do that. I have a lot of boys, as you know. So for you that may not know, I have nine boys, and five of them are out of high school and older. So I only have four in school still, so that's great. But my real hope is I can create something for my boys to build from,
Yeah.
because one thing that I've really wanted to do is build something with them, for them, and let them take it to the new level, because as much knowledge as I have, at a younger age they've been exposed to it, and I'm very open with them. I talk about the highs, the lows, the good, the bad, the changes, and so I want them to get involved and take over a lot of it,
Yeah.
so that they can build and make it better. Because I am of a belief that my kids can make it better than I've ever envisioned it. Um, it's just when they're ready to.
Yeah.
And, who knows when that's going to happen. But I hope and pray that that's their heart and desire to take it and do it. And if not, my feelings aren't hurt. I want them to be successful in their own ways as well. But
Yeah.
that
You got
was
a
that
one in
was
nine chance that one of them. Your
yeah.
odds are pretty good.
My odds are pretty good,
Yeah.
and I have some great salesmen, great networkers in my upper you know my upper kids, and so they're crushing it in their own worlds today. So
Yeah.
one of them I was sitting down talking to the other day, and I'm like, look, I've got opportunities here, but I don't want to ever hinder your opportunity. And so if this is not the right time, don't sit here and think you're going to disappoint me, because you're not.
Mm,
I want you to be who you want to be. Just know this opportunity is here if you ever need it or want it.
I love
And
that.
he was super appreciative of me being so candid with him, because he was torn, because he wants it, but he wants to do this other thing first, try it out. And I'm like, go try it. Go try that first, man. Because you always look back and go, should I have done it? Should I have done it? Should I have done it?
Yeah.
And you don't need that. You don't need that hanging over you. So
And you can
it's
get the
kind of what he's,
experience of that other opportunity to figure out whether or not it makes sense and then still have, I don't want to say a fallback plan, but always have the option, right?
yeah,
Like most people want options.
yeah,
Well, and
so
that's what
true.
legacy really is. And I know, obviously, we've talked about legacy and what that means and all that. And in the infinite banking world, when we talk about these policies, not just it's legacy is not just about money. And I think people who get it that it's not just, oh, I'm going to leave a big fat sack of cash. No, it's I'm going to create something. I'm going to build momentum that my children can take that and continue it and make it bigger and better. And it's that ripple effect of starting here and then the next generation and then the next generation and then the next generation. I mean, planting that seed now, the fruit that is going to come from that is, I mean, unfathomable. Like
Yeah,
what you're doing, especially if assuming, right, when parents and are having these conversations about legacy with their kids, like, hey, I want you to build and do this. When you're having that conversation with your kids and then you're encouraging them to have that with their kids, they can continue that even after you're gone. So I mean,
yeah,
that is true legacy. Is like you said, your kids are doing and building more than what you ever did because they got exposure to it earlier than you ever did.
yeah.
That's amazing.
So true. So that's kind of my world, man. It's been fun. It's still great. Uh, I am I'm looking forward to being on a different side of the multifamily
Yeah.
cycle, right? So I was even thinking about this the other day. Um, you know, our friends Ben and Ferris that put on the event in Houston, that's coming up in February. I was thinking about that, and I'm like, I could actually go to that event and like show up late and leave early, and not and just be there to learn more,
Yeah.
meet people, network with people, and
You mean
not
you don't
have
want to be
us.
there at 6:30 a.m. setting up your booth with me
No,
and David?
no. I mean, it's part of the hustle that you have to do, right? As a business owner
Yeah.
and things of that nature. But um, looking forward to the flip side for a little while,
Yeah.
because I think it's a good place to be. And I've been to a couple of events where I feel like I'm like, oh, do you know so and so? Do you know so and so? And they're like, no. And then I'm bringing people, my old customers and my friends, over to these people's booths. And like, hey, you need to meet them. This is what they do. This is how they can help you. And so it's really cool to be able to help people like that, but then to leave and then
Yeah.
go.
Well, you're really good at it too. And you've even done that for us. Like I know multiple times, like we're standing there just, doing whatever we're doing. And you are bringing people over to us. You're at your booth and coming over to us. So you've always done that. So to be able to focus on that because it's clearly such a passion of yours, I'm
Yeah.
sure that's fulfilling.
It is. It's so fulfilling, because I know that if I have a solution that helps somebody out, or I believe helps somebody out, um, there's going to come a time where I may need that person. And if I've helped them in this other area, um, and I say help, and just introduce them to a person that turns out to be a blessing on them. It'll turn around and be a blessing on me some days. But even if it's not, helping somebody out is fulfilling.
Yeah. Oh,
It's
100%. I know
fulfilling.
I believe it'll come back around for sure.
Uh,
So yeah, let's dive into the business side a little bit more. I know, like you
okay.
said, we got a really good insight into like your development and how things have changed. What let me go with, we'll end with a good one. So let's talk about what are some of the top challenges? I know there's been a ton. I mean, it's
Mhm.
the list, we could have a 3 hour conversation. Um, what are some of the top challenges that you have either faced or you have seen people face over the last few years that you have been able to help them navigate and actually come out on the other side better?
So that's a great question. So there has been a lot, but one I think that I put together during COVID, during that COVID time, where lenders had requirements of CapEx spend, right, that they had to get through. And I had always been, I don't want to touch interiors if somebody lives there because you don't want to mess with their stuff, you don't want to get through it. So what I did is I created a package, which I called an in-place rehab, but what that meant was an occupied unit rehab. And the things that we could do in an occupied unit versus things that we couldn't do were very small differences. The only thing that we really couldn't do was painting and flooring. We could do everything else. We could do countertops. We could even do backsplashes. We could
Yeah.
do lighting.
New
We could do door
appliances, all that.
hardware. We could do door appliances. And then, so we could add all this value to the unit. And yes, their lease wasn't up and all that yet, but we went ahead and we did all the vacants and then we would do in place rehab. And the piece that really, some people didn't get, but what they ended up getting once they did it was the things that we put in were the things that weren't damaged. And so when they left and when they did vacate a year later or 6 months later, all you had to do was paint and flooring, and you could do that in a week.
Mm,
So your vacancies weren't there. They
yeah.
were right. So you could
You're turning over even faster.
you're turning over faster. You don't have a 30-day or 60-day turn on that unit. It's literally ready in a week. So now
That's huge.
your vacancies, your vacancy list is so much shorter because now you have all these units that are rent ready and you can just absorb them naturally. And so that became the deal that we started doing a lot of. And then I started adding in like um, well, water conservation is one that I'm a big push on, as you know, but multifamily, I think, needs it more than anything.
Yeah.
But also security, right? So I call it a tech package, and we did a tech package with another company, and now I'm working with ADT, and ADT has
Oh,
one now that it's a lease of a product. You don't purchase the product, but you don't pay for the product. You only pay for the monthly subscription. And the monthly subscription, it's going to vary. So just bear with me. But
yeah.
let's say it's $26 a month to have a keyless entry, HVAC control, and a security system that's monitored. So you direct line to the police. So you can put that in. They follow the same lines of water conservation. They can do that in about 50 units a day. And then they come in, they knock out your whole property, and now you have a more secure property. Um, and also, it's a revenue generator for the property as well, because now they charge for the tech package. And so maybe they charge $50 or something like that,
Yeah.
50 to $70. And now they're making extra money on top of the rent that they were making.
And
So
then not owning the equipment, you don't have to be liable for any of the repairs
you
or
got it.
replacements or any of that. So they can just bring in new equipment on an as needed basis.
That's it. So if it damages, you're under a contract for you can sign different ones, 5, 7, 10 years.
That's huge. I love that.
And And now if it breaks, they come and replace it.
That, well, I mean,
So
that makes sense to do it that way because even like, I know this is kind of dated, but in insurance companies and investment, like all the big corporate offices that I worked in the past, they never owned like their copy machines, for example,
yeah,
their copier, their faxer. Nobody ever owns that. They lease it. They can just essentially pay to use it. But if
yep,
anything breaks with it, it's not their problem.
yep,
Yeah, same concept.
yeah. Same concept. And so it gives you all the access control though, right? So if you have a vacancy, or right, and you've heard me talk about this, but if you have a maintenance request, the maintenance guy gets a code, a temporary code to get into
Oh,
that unit
yeah.
to fix it. Well, then the tenant's notified that the maintenance went in, and then also the leasing office is notified when it's complete. So it's a complete cycle of transparency for the property and the ownership of that property. They can
Yeah.
dial into that anytime too.
And
And so
documenting like, hey, this was addressed at this time. And
that's
yeah,
it. Yep. Yep.
really cuts down on
Exactly.
having to make, hey, did you get this done? Right?
Yep. Yep. Exactly. So there's all kinds of features like that. And then, of course, us goofy people in Texas that get these freezes once a year, and we have to go around and manually change all the HVACs of our vacants of where they need to be. You can actually go into the software in the office and change them all for all your vacants right there, and you never have to walk into the unit.
Oh my
So
gosh.
it's a
You don't even
lot
have to
of
leave your comfy home or comfy office.
yeah, none of that. Or if a maintenance guy is hiding on you in a vacant unit, you know that he's accessed that unit so many times. And if nothing's going on in there, you're like, hey, why are you going in that unit so much?
Yeah.
Kind of manage
That,
your
oh
team
my
that way
gosh,
too.
that's
So,
huge. I didn't
yeah,
even, I mean, I think about it from the, additional income and value add to the client, right? Obviously there's a lot going on there. But I didn't even think about all of these like ancillary benefits to the operator.
yeah, yeah, it's
That's
huge.
huge.
So I've been a big, I've pushed it for a while now because I just see so many benefits to make everybody's life easier and streamline a lot of negative things that happen. I mean, heck, key management itself is just a pain in the neck,
Oh
right?
my gosh, yeah.
So, not having to worry about that anymore, and giving a code to somebody, it's just a huge benefit.
Yeah.
So
Or somebody
that
having to
kind of
worry about
came
somebody making a
out.
copy or,
Yes,
any.
exactly. And if you need to kick somebody out for whatever reason, you can change their code on the fly, and you don't have to do anything with it. They can't get back in. So
And are
it's
you doing that as a part of your like, is that just within Blue Capital that you guys are focusing on that, or are you rolling that into part of your consulting conversations as well?
That's consulting conversation as well.
Yes.
So the things that we're doing at Bloom is going to be water conservation. We're going to do we're doing this security piece. Um, Man, another group that you may or may not know about is Apartment Life. Are you familiar with
I feel
that
like I've
group at
started
all?
to hear that a couple of times.
Man, they're an incredible group that it's a very small fee. Um, you give away one unit a month. I mean, a year. It's a 2 year contract, I believe, maybe a year contract, and a couple lives there, and they are basically your welcome committee to the
Oh,
property. So anytime a new person moves in, they come in with a basket, say, welcome to the community. If somebody's sick, they go visit the sick person in
oh
the
my
community
gosh.
and
How
make sure
sweet is
that
that?
they're taken care of. If somebody has a baby, they give the baby. I mean, there is so much they do. And then they put on community events for the property. And so once a month, depending on how often you want it, but let's say once a month, they put on a community event. Maybe it's a barbecue, maybe it's
Yeah.
a movie night, something like that. They'll put on that event for the community, and they keep the marketing piece rolling inside the community. Well, the
Love
great thing
that.
about that is what they're hired to do, and your office staff doesn't have to be good at it
Yeah,
because
hands
that's
off.
the whole piece. They're hands off. They only have to work together and say, "Hey, we're doing this in the community. Are you good with this?" Blah blah, blah, and they put it all together.
That's
Um,
huge. So on the apartment life, that's a program. So these people they're hired, or I know you said that maybe they get like 1 month free
No,
of,
they get a free apartment,
oh,
one
they get
free
a free
apartment.
apartment. Okay.
Yeah, for a couple to live there. So that's part of the investment. The other part is you work out how often you want events and things like that, and that creates a secondary marketing budget for them to utilize.
That's
Um,
huge.
but it's a great program. I met a lot of them at the NAA this year in Philly and talked to them. And oh my gosh, those people are just incredible people. I mean, really incredible people. I mean, it's a faith-based organization.
Okay.
Um, so they'll go pray with you and do whatever if that's what you want, but they don't lead with faith-based, and it's not, oh, we're only going to do this. It's mainly just that's their heart, and they're gonna it's gonna overflow into your community, and it's really incredible. So the statistics, and I'm going to fail at this, but the statistics of your retention are like 75% higher if you have them versus when you don't. And that's incredible for us
That
in
is
this
huge.
time. Yeah. So, anyway, so that's
No,
another
that's
one of those pieces that I've, found and put together through this time of trying to help people.
yeah, and that's something where if you're an operator and you're looking at, here's the thing, what we have noticed and what we have come to realize, and people have been preaching it for years, but it has really come to a head to acknowledge that asset management is the key to success within multifamily. Obviously, there's like buying and all of the other aspects of that, but a lot of people, if you're not able to sell the property, you can't just keep it for a year or two and then flip it, right? Like these hold times are much longer.
Right.
So having to operate and, manage this asset and do, all the different things that you need to do to make it successful, increase rents and justify those rents, keep occupancy high. There's a lot of different things that people are struggling with. So as a consultant, you're coming in and helping them identify these areas to increase retention, get units that are occupied still flipped, make your turnovers much faster, much easier, much simpler, right? Increase, right? And so you're focusing on all of that as a if there's operators that are looking at this and they're saying, "Hey, I'm either wanting to take a property and actually, go acquire this property, or I already own property. Are you able to step in?" And they reach out and say, "Hey, Dax, I want to hire you for your consulting services. I want you to take a look at my property and figure out, like, help me identify systems, processes, holes, opportunities, all of that."
Yeah. So what I've done with that, there's a couple of different ways. Already owning the property and going, hey, I have an insurance claim that I don't know how to get through. I've never done it before, or this one's bigger
Mm.
than I've ever dealt with before. And that's a big strength of mine is insurance claims and trying to walk people through that. I've also come into a couple of opportunities to where they were very upset with their contractor that they had working there, right? And so this is one of the things that where it's like sometimes the problem is you. Um, and so I can look at that because I battled that a lot as a contractor where they would say, hey, you're not getting it done in the timeline, you're not doing this. And I'm like, well, you're not doing this, right? The property management's having these issues, or you're having these issues on getting things funded, whatever the reasons. There's a myriad of reasons. So really looking at it with open eyes and higher level and going, hey, here's where your problems are. Maybe they're not the greatest, but they should finish the job. Here's why they should finish the job. Or hey, if you did this, things would speed up a lot. So why
Mhm.
don't you look at doing these things? And then, hey, on an insurance claim, whether they need a public adjuster or not, how to handle those claims, what it looks like, what you need to go through, what you need to look like at with the contractor, things of that nature. So I've been doing a lot of those types of things to help them really select the right person for the job, and
Yeah.
also do they have the right person in the job, and then discovering you may have an issue with your maintenance department or your property management department um, that needs to be addressed during these times. So it's been really rewarding to really nothing's going to affect me, right? I don't have to worry about, oh,
You're
I
an
gotta,
unbiased third party. You
it's
can
like,
just
hey, I'm just going to tell you that as it is. You can hate
yeah.
me or not. It's okay. But this needs to be solved. If you don't pay them on time when you tell them you're going to pay them, they're not going to pay their people, and their people are going to stop working, and it's going to create delays. And so, if you want it done faster, you can't stop the money flow.
Yeah.
The money flow is not going to, fix it. Make sure you have a checks and balances that what you're paying them for is what they've done. And
Right.
that's the piece that most people miss. So, but anyway, yeah, that's a good thing. But problems I've seen are, and corrections that are happening are people have a lot of inefficiencies in their property operation currently. And life has been so good for so many people for so long, they don't know how to pinpoint the inefficiencies.
Yeah.
They may have run a business, they may have had a successful career, but they don't know how to pinpoint the inefficiencies that they need to correct to get better during this time. Because if you correct them now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, as the tides turn, right? Your efficiencies are going to make you such a superior operator long
Yeah.
term. And so work on them now. Work on them in your downtime. Work on them in your headache. And people are getting better. So
Yeah.
that's
You
what
can
I
get good
have some.
now during this rough
Yeah.
time. Imagine how good it'll be when things do turn back around. It's a cycle. It'll come back up.
Don't forget your learning lessons either, right? So it's like, oh, once they turn the faucet back on lending and all of that becomes good. Don't
No
forget that you
kidding.
had all these tight times back here,
One of those
and
things where it works so good you stop doing it, right? Because yeah,
right, yeah.
dude, I've been there. Guilty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we've all done that. And
Yeah.
so yeah, so that's kind of the bigger takeaways from this market that we're in. Um, the market's gonna turn again,
Yeah.
and 10 years from now it's gonna happen again or
It'll turn again.
whatever, right?
Yeah.
So you just gotta be you gotta be good. You gotta be good and get better every day.
Well, I think
So
that's huge on the consulting side. And I'm just thinking through the number of people that probably don't even realize that it's out there. And I will say this one thing that I've personally realized as I moved into like the commercial real estate, multifamily investing, coming from the traditional financial world, um, that is very dog eat dog, like very scarcity minded, right? Like everybody's like, nope, this is my client. You can't touch it. Like nobody shared anything. So when I started connecting with and being in this commercial real estate space, I was blown away at the abundance mindset and how willing people were to share and talk through problems and even like, hey, I have this underwriting worksheet that I spent like a year building. Here you go. Let me just share it with you. And just it was great to see how everybody was willing to share information. However, with that being said, there's a huge abundance mindset, but sometimes it can be difficult unless you are in it. It's hard for me to say, okay, if I'm operating this property and I'm having issues, I can talk about issues with somebody just in a one-on-one conversation. But to bring in an unbiased third party with experience, with knowledge, and with a high level overview, right? Being able to see everything from the top down and be in it with you, not just having a conversation on the side, but to actually see what's happening from every perspective and from all the different levels. Having somebody come in and identify issues, potential threats, inefficiencies, and help you go through that process. I mean, that's just absolutely huge. There's a difference between having a conversation with a friend and hiring a professional who's going to come in and be like, boom, let's pinpoint this and solve the problem now. I can
yeah,
just see that being a massive benefit for so many operators.
yeah. It's been fun to watch, and I didn't intend to really start that way. I was looking, what my next true venture was going to be, but I had a couple people call me. For one, they go, "Hey man, I'm in trouble. How should I handle this?" Well, here's what I would do. Like, oh my gosh, thanks so much, right? And then another call came and another call came, and then I found myself on weekly phone calls. I'm like, how did this happen?
Dax, yeah. Oh my gosh. So how long, and I don't know if this makes any sense, if this is a reasonable question, but if you're going in and doing a consulting project with a group or a person, How long does that typically take? Are you doing this over a month, 6 weeks, a year? Like, what is that consulting, or does it range?
It ranges. So sometimes it's during the acquisition that they're
Okay.
looking for some help, right? So they're like, hey, how do I, what do you think about this? What do I need to do here? What do I budget
Prevent
for?
problems from ever happening.
Yeah. So a lot of it started there. And then it's, okay, so the 90-day close, right? Helping them create budgets around, what it's going to take and all that. And then the last piece that um, kind of came in is execution of their construction or their capex, right? So you're like,
Mm,
well, I can help with that. You want me to be kind of like your construction manager kind of person and help them with that. Um, some people have come in and go, hey, I don't have enough money to pay anybody to come do this, and I can't get anybody to do it. And so I kind of create this little system for them so that they can go execute some small, repairs and things like that. So some people just get overwhelmed when
yeah.
it comes to it and just need some guidance of
Yeah.
how to not be overwhelmed. From properties that people have owned for 4 years, even. Um, they're like, I have more vacancies than I've ever had on this property, and I can't see my way out of it. And the lender's coming down on me and all this. So, just working through them, trying to help them on that piece. It ranges. It
That's
really
amazing.
does. That's kind of what you're seeing mostly.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, I know they'll kind of be hit and miss. So what are we talked about challenges and what you're doing to help fix that. Is there anything in particular that you're really excited about that you've got like a big project or a new, I don't know, venture, anything that you're just like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. And you want to scream it from the mountaintops.
Yeah, so Bloom Capital. I mean, that's my big one, right? So it's the team is just so incredible. I'm excited to work with the people that we're working with to put this together. Um, all the fears that you may have when you're joining a team or call it starting a new job, of is the team right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, this team is right. I mean, it has the some high caliber people. After I first said, yeah, I'm going to join, um, two of the three other people, well, there's four others. I guess three of them lived in Vegas, and me and one other guy lived here. And I said, we need to just lock ourselves in a room for a couple of days and kind of vet this thing out.
Right.
And they're like, how about Thursday? And like it was within a few days. They're like, yeah, they go, can you get us a room? I'm like, I'll get a room. So like we sat in a conference room for 2 solid days, and I just word vomited all over and just said, this is what I see. This is why I think this could be so good. And to watch their minds challenge me in ways, but also go, holy cow, I see it from your side. And then they tell me, and I'm like, oh, now I see that from your side, right? And so
Yeah.
putting all these ideas together were incredible because it's like I really feel like we're doing something different,
Yeah.
with some different point of views, different experiences that are really setting this thing up to be just incredible. So
Oh, I'm excited
um,
to watch
I'm
it. I'm like, man,
I'm
you got me
super
all fired
excited.
up.
I'm super, super excited about it all. And the team is a lot of fun. I mean, they're all believers. And one of the things that we're doing with Bloom is we have what we call our first fruits. 4% of our revenue, top line revenue, is going to be given away to missions and to other organizations, nonprofits, to help the communities. So if it's not in the community that property's in, it'll be in different communities and helping out. So it's a big part of what we're doing.
That's huge. Oh my
Uh,
gosh, that's incredible.
so yeah, it's exciting.
That is exciting. Oh my gosh. So, and that's the thing too. Like the more I talk about abundance mindset and some of the books and things that I've been reading, um, the more money you make, the more impact you can have. And sometimes that gets lost with people. It's like it's not all about like, oh, I want to make more money, but the more money you make, the more impact you can have. And
Yeah.
the more money you make, the more time you can have, which is all really what we all want, right? Like I want to spend more time with my kids. I want to, we were talking about decorating, your 17 Christmas trees in your house. Um, I want to do these things. So that's just so powerful to see, like you guys making these amazing things happen. And then the, trickle down economics. I don't really like that, but that's essentially what it is. But when people do it, it works. And when people do it intentionally, that's when it works.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
so excited for you guys. Is there anyone or anything in particular that who are you looking for, or is there anything that you are needing to add to either your consulting or on the Blue Capital side? Anything you're looking for right now? Like, do you have an ask that we can send out and say, like, hey, this is who or what we need in Dax's world?
Man, so here's what I've been really talking a lot about. There's a lot of people out there um, that are afraid to talk about how bad their properties are and bad
Mm,
what shape they're in, and really they're in a bad spot,
hmm.
and it's affecting them physically, it's affecting them emotionally, and really learning to let some things go. You can't save every deal, and just having the freedom of going, okay, guys, I'm sorry. This for all these myriad of reasons. I've tried. It's not working. We need to release this property. And there's a couple of ways to walk through that, right? They can do a deed in lieu and turn it back over. They can get foreclosed on, which is absolute worst
Yeah,
scenario. But what we're doing as Bloom is we're coming in and we're purchasing these for the debt, right? It sounds somewhat vulturous at times, but it's not, because sometimes they're not even worth the debt, right? And so we're just trying to get them out of a situation to where they're going to get a foreclosure on them so they can't do future stuff. So we're looking for properties that are in trouble, that they're looking to get rid of at debt or somewhere around that, just to get away from it.
yeah,
We have a buy box. We'd like 80s or newer. We'd like in, you know, Texas. We'd like in Georgia. We'd like in Arizona. But it doesn't mean don't send it to us, because again, I have lots of friends in the industry that are buying in other areas as well, that I could help you do that. So my ask is, if you want to have a private conversation, please reach out to me. I can talk to you about it. I can say, hey, it's a good idea, bad idea. Maybe you just don't know how to handle it. One of the best things for me is I don't charge you for that, right? It's not like I'm going to sit here and charge you for just getting some advice from me. Call me. Let me see if I can help you put a plan together, and execute on that. It may save the deal. I don't know, but I'm talking to a lot of people like that just to try to help. And worst case scenario, just to be an ear to bend and go, dude, life sucks right now. I need somebody to talk to. So that's what I'm doing a lot of these days.
yeah. Having those conversations of, hey, is it worth it to keep fighting? Throw good money after bad.
Yeah,
And I know you and I have talked about this.
yeah,
My property is rough. It's not easy,
yeah,
but yeah, I think, well, and it's funny that you say that because I've talked to quite a few people about it. I mean, obviously you and I had a conversation. I have a good friend of mine that does development down in Austin, and she's been somebody I've bent her ear over quite a bit. And it's hard as somebody who raised money in GP and all of that to see the struggles that your property is having and having to acknowledge like, hey, not only am I going to lose money, which if I lose money, it is what it is, right? Money is money. But to lose money for investors and, do everything you can to prevent that as much as possible, it's difficult, right? Especially, I
yeah,
mean, it's really hard for me. all of that to say, she sent me a podcast on the guy that, oh my gosh, I can't think of his name off the top of my head. He just left Bigger Pockets and he was their
Brandon?
face for
Not
years.
Brandon?
What's
Brandon
that?
Turner. Brandon Turner.
No, it wasn't Brandon. It was somebody else.
Hmm.
He was their pod, and I'll send it to you. But she sent me this podcast that he did, and essentially, this guy is huge in real estate, hundreds of thousands of doors, multi-million dollars under, hundreds of millions of dollars under assets under management, and he talks about all the different things that he's done, but he actually pauses and he talks about he doesn't go into all the great things that he does. Like a majority of the podcast is talking about the storm and the problems and what's been failing and the properties that he's lost and kind of some of his mindset and the struggles that he had to go through to kind of acknowledge I've got to let this go. This is something that's not going to work. It was so not I hate to say this, but misery does love company. It was nice to
Yeah.
hear that, hey, this guy who's experienced, who's knowledgeable, who has done a lot of good things, has fallen on some bad times, gotten a bad situation, gotten a bad property, right? Sometimes the stars just don't align, whatever it might be. But to hear him being as successful as he is, talk about his problems and his struggles, what he did to fight for it, but when he finally just swallowed it and said, hey, this isn't going to work, and then there's others that he's still fighting for. So again, I'll have to send you that podcast. It was so, so, so good, so powerful.
Oh,
But
yeah. I
it's
want
one
to
of those
see
things
that.
where, hey, is it time to move on? Because every day that we drag it on is just another day that we're not, working to make up that money that we lost.
Yeah.
So I think that'll
Yeah.
be huge.
It's true. It's a tough place for a lot of people, but I believe it's not anybody's magic potion. I don't have a
Yeah.
glass ball, but I do believe that we'll see a major change in 2025. But I do think it's going to be the after second quarter. I think it'll be sometime in
Hmm.
third quarter before we'll see this major shift in the turn in the industry.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
I'm waiting for it, but aren't
We
we
all have
all?
been. Uh,
We all have been. I remember when I first heard Thrive to 25, and I'm like, I don't have that long.
yeah, we're all like on a doggy paddling until
And here we
and
are.
sometimes like
So,
it's like, damn, I'm not even doggy paddling. I'm sinking to the bottom, pushing
right.
off from there just to get another grasp of air and starting back over. Like
Yeah.
freaking A.
Yeah. So true. So true.
Oh my
So,
gosh. Well, I agree. And I'm super, I mean, it sounds like you guys are doing a lot of good things on the syndication side with family offices and all that. Um, but I hear the consulting side and that for me personally, that fires me up for you just because I know the value that's there. I mean, obviously you guys are doing great things on your property acquisitions and all of that. Um, but I really think I just know from an individual standpoint what you have to offer for these syndicators that are, you know, going to take something over or they're in the middle of struggling. How can you either prevent problems or identify and solve problems that are already going on? So
yeah.
I'm so excited for you. Do you, let's wrap up here. Let me ask you that, let me say it this way. What new beliefs, behaviors, or habits have you adopted over the last 5 years? It's been a long 5 years,
Hmm.
but any new belief, behaviors, or habits that you've adopted over the last 5 years that have most positively impacted your life and or business or both?
Yeah. So, man, this year has been the biggest year of change in my life that I've had in a long time. Learning that uh, I have always looked for the next sale to keep the business going. Um, Now I am sitting with my family more, um, looking at them, going, what is worth it to take me away from them?
Mm.
And if it's not worth it, right? If I'm not helping somebody, if I'm not advancing, I mean, I got to make a living, but you understand what I mean by
Oh
this.
yeah.
It's not that important if it takes you away from them. And if it is that important, do they believe it's that important? And so I really, I sit here at Thanksgiving and we sat with my mom and my aunt and my uncle, and we were just talking about this year and different things. And I said, "Man, this year's been a great year for me, but it's been a hard year for me
Yeah.
because change is hard, right, for everybody. But I started going to Bible study once a week, and I try my hardest not to miss it. And the people that I've met in there have been life changing to me, and just feeding into me, and it's been incredible. The people I'm surrounding myself with has been completely different this year than in the past, and that's been super incredible. But really, just learning, sounds cliche-ish, the value of life, right? What is your true value? And family is, of course, right? But what that really means, and how I adjusted my lifestyle this year to accommodate that, and will continue, not perfect by any means, but will continue to do that to be better. Um, it has to be pretty dang important to get me away.
Yeah.
I mean, I work out of my house now, right? So that's great.
Yeah. Man, I'll tell you, oh, working from home is great.
I get to
You
go
got to
pick
do it
up the
right
kids
because
from
there's times I'm
school.
like, oh, that was transitioning to that full time that's a whole new
Yeah,
world.
it is. It's a whole new world. It's a whole new world, but it's been there's been a lot of good, a lot of really good that's come from this year, and with Brandy and I, just what we're doing with the kids and things. So I'm healthier, and that's been important.
Yeah.
I would say more important to Brandy than it has been to me in the past,
I
but
know
yeah, I mean
she's your not I don't want to say health nut, but
yeah,
she's the one that
she
probably drives
is.
that ship a little bit more.
She does. Yeah, she's a doctor of natural medicine, so of course she's always shoving stuff down. She's like, "You don't even ask anymore." I'm like, "Hey, it didn't do me any good to ask because I don't know half of it anyway. You just tell me to
Yeah.
take it, and I'll take it." So she said, "Well, she finally learned." So, um, but that's I feel better. Um, Mentally, I'm stronger than I've been in a long time, healthier
Yeah.
than I've been in a long time. Spiritually, it's all there. So it's been a really really good year for me. Um, haven't haven't fully got to where I would say I want to be,
Hmm.
but nor do I think I ever will achieve that. But I'm making strides every day. So
I love so you know me, I like do all these books. Let me see if I can find what's the book I just finished? Uh, I don't remember which one it was. I'd have to go back and look at my notes. But one of the things that they brought up is they brought up the Constitution and they said that it doesn't say that everyone is entitled to life, liberty, and happiness. It's life, liberty, and the pursuit of
mm,
happiness. And
yeah.
that was such a and again, I remember that quote, but I don't remember which book it was. I'll have to go find it. But I was just like, and but that's what they were talking about is that in your business, in your life, in your relationship, in everything that you're doing, you're actively pursuing not necessarily more, but you're pursuing growth, right? Like
Yeah,
if you are not pursuing growth, and that is what happiness is, that you're consistently pursuing more and more, the next level, pushing yourself more, going to the next level. That is what happiness is it's a pursuit. And you'll never find it, but you can be in constant pursuit of it. And
yeah,
that's something that triggered for me. So you're exactly right. Like we may not be where we want to be, but if we kind of take a minute to acknowledge how far we've come and what we've been able to do, that just gives us the motivation to continue to pursue more because what we're capable of, we have no idea. It's
yeah.
just, oh my gosh, that's going to drive me nuts. What book was that?
You'll find it.
Oh, I will. So speaking of, so we got new beliefs, new habits. Do you have any major books or podcasts that you are like, hey, this is a must?
So my book of the year, and it's a men's book. I'll say oh my gosh, it was so good I can't remember it. It's Point Men is what it's called, by Steve Farrar, and it's about being a father, being a husband, being a father of boys, being a father of girls. It talks about it all. But I did this study with my neighbor, and literally we just did one chapter a week for, I think it's 11 chapters. and just kind of dove into it. And it really kind of gets you thinking. And one of the concepts in there is about being a co-pilot with your wife. And you need your co-pilot, right? Because your co-pilot, does some duties, and you do a duty. You may be the person that's in charge, but without a co-pilot, you're never going to be successful. And how to use the co-pilot, and how to parent your kids, and how to parent your boys, and how to parent your daughters. It's two totally different things.
Yeah.
Of course, I don't know anything about parenting a daughter, but boys, and it's just a
Well, I
lot of
have two
different
daughters
things
and I
like
still don't know
that,
anything about parenting
right?
daughters. Can I just say that? Like, golly.
uh, so it was very good for me to go through that book this year and really implement some of those things, again, as a father and as a husband, as a believer, just in general. It was really good. So that was probably my big life changing book this year that I've gone through.
I love it. Oh, I love those books that you just hold on to and they resonate with you so well. Oh,
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
thank you
for
for
sure.
sharing. So, any final tidbits, thoughts, insights, anything that we didn't get a chance to cover? I feel like we went across a wide spectrum. I'm
We
excited.
did. It will get better. We will get through it. It's not as bad as it seems. It just, uh, it's okay to sit and cry
Yeah.
and get through it. And people with egos, I'll use that word, with egos are too proud to sit back and talk about how bad it is when
Yeah.
we all know it's really bad. And pray for those that are going through it,
Yeah.
because they need a friend. They need a person to talk to that's non-judgmental, that we've all made mistakes in life. And if you're not a friend to them, then you're not a friend. So
Mm.
be there
Let's
for
encourage
those.
vulnerability. I know is what you
Yeah,
and I talked about. Just let's
yeah,
be vulnerable and encourage vulnerability.
yeah. Because it's a game changer
Yeah.
if you are. It's a game changer if you are. So that's it. That's all I got.
Well,
Um,
it's a lot. Thank you so, so, so much for coming on, sharing so much. I have like 2 pages of notes over here, so I can't wait to get this out. And for those of you, again, make sure that you like this video, share this video. We do one client, one member every single month that we highlight and do a deep dive into them, into their business, so that you guys can learn, hear, and experience what these amazing people have learned and experienced over their entire lifetime. You can get this in a 1 hour session. So getting this insight, and when you have all these people that you are learning from and seeing the way that they're building and connecting and growing their wealth, this is a way for you to learn, get connected with people that you can continue to build and grow your own wealth as well. So again, this is all about connection. This is all about networking. This is all about meeting and learning from new people. So make sure that you continue to follow, connect with Dax. What is the best way for people to reach out to you?
Man, my cell phone still works. So call me on my cell phone. It's 469-261-1190. Call or text me. I'm there.
Awesome. And we'll put that on the screen and all that good stuff so you guys can reach out. So awesome. Again, thank you so much, Dax, for coming on
Thank
and
you.
sharing that. I
Appreciate
guess we'll see you
it.
guys next month. Have a great rest of your day.